Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expression Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, the enlightened excited Eddie V. Joining me is the doc himself from Crossroads, the one, the only, Mr. Austin Campbell. Hello, good sir.
And I am very excited to be doing this with you. I love podcasting with you. I don't get to podcast with you very often. I'm very excited.
I miss all you guys on Crossroads. You, LeRon, Chris. Shout out to Nelly also. Man. So, but when you guys hear this one, we missed a week of Nintendo Power Block, and I had everything ready to go, but we took an extra break, and I was just like, man, I miss podcasting. I'm so glad to be back doing it. But we have a really good topic, and me and Austin, we're going to talk more about this topic later on in the future. But I kind of I presented him with this question. And, me and you both got a religious background. I'm still in the church. You are, I think you're kind of in a church, I think, or
I still go to church. Okay. I attend a non-denominational church. I would think that would be the best way to describe it.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So, and I kind of presented this question to Austin to be like, does religion play a part in moral choices when you're playing a video game? So when you're doing stuff in Mass Effect or even Grand Theft Auto or anything, the moral choices that you make in it, do you think your religion allows you to play it? Now, a lot of people say, well, you are shooting aliens and real humans and beating prostitutes and doing all of this sinful stuff in it. But I think when it comes to making a moral choice where you have to make a decision where the game forces you to do that, do you sometimes feel like your religion plays a part of it? So,
this is a great topic, Ed. This is a great topic.
Yes.
You sprung this on me, and now I'm all excited about it. I'm super excited to get into this.
So I kind of want to, and that's kind of the topic, religion playing a part in moral choices. That's kind of the topic. I kind of want to ask you, Austin, before we get into that, how do you look at religion?
Well, religion, I think, is a different thing than what I personally believe in, I think. I mean, and this is going to sound like very corny Christian stuff, so get strapped in, folks, because it's going to get really corny. But I consider my religion not really a religion, because religion to me is like a bunch of rules that you follow, and you do the same thing. You're strict. You go to church, and you say this prayer, and you do these different things. Whereas I see God more as a relationship, and having kind of just like that forgiveness that He gives you, and you learning to try to be better and to treat other people better, and to forgive people like you've been forgiven. So that to me is a little different. When I hear religion, I mean, religion could be anything. I mean, anything's a religion at this point. So, but I think religion boils down to a set of beliefs that you live your life by. And some people don't have any, and they live their life by what they find to be their moral choices. But even those moral choices, everyone has a code. Everyone has a set of rules they set themselves up for. And I think that could really just be your religion at any point. You just may not have a specific name for it. So, which is why I think it makes a big impact on how you make decisions in games, honestly.
Yeah. And I think when I look at religion, of course, it's having that relationship with God, because as I'm a Christian, accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And there are other things attached to it, and certain beliefs and things, but it's kind of sometimes what you interpret it to be, how you see your relationship with God. Is it growing? Is it falling apart? You mentioned forgiveness, that being a really big thing, and also loving. I think that's why a lot of people who jump on Christians and stuff is that we're seen as one particular thing, even though there's many. If one Christian faith or one faith or religion does something, we sometimes get categorized as that, as part of that. So it
Mhm.
forms a stereotype, and it's really not that, because you really can
Mhm.
be a Christian and truly just love and respect people and
Mhm.
have some kind of friendship or relationship with them, and treat them as nice, treat them as a neighbor,
Mhm.
love thy neighbor and everything. And that's kind of important. Some people say they like to play around with the Ten Commandments, and that is true. Christians, a
Mhm.
lot of Christians like to play around with the Ten Commandments. So when it comes to video games, playing these fictional worlds, we don't think about religion, but when it comes to our moral choices, we do have a kind of belief, because the thing about it is we want to be good. Our
Mhm.
in video games is that you're trying to do a good thing to, whether it's save a princess, save the world, trying to do some kind of good thing to reward some form, or not reward, to bring some form of peace,
Mhm.
to bring some kind of revelation that there is this truth, this understanding that the problem that was designed is fixed. And
Right.
sometimes it doesn't always go that route and everything. So when I look at when I played Mass Effect, when I first started, even in
Mhm.
Infamous, when I played them, I always went to the good thing about this. And regardless
Mhm.
of if it felt like betrayal or some things, if the outcomes wasn't right because of my good decisions, I kind of feel good because I feel morally that I did the right thing. And in
Mhm.
religion, sometimes you want to do the right thing, even though sometimes it may come off as being wrong.
Yeah. Well, and that's the crazy thing. So like with Mass Effect, there are different decisions that come down to like what is morally good and what you think is justified. Two totally different things sometimes because you'll be like,
Yes.
this guy has got to die. He's doing terrible stuff. He wronged me or he wronged whoever I'm friends with, and so this guy's got to go. This guy's got to go. And then Mass Effect's so good about that to where there's consequences for you taking action into your own hands for taking it too far, for not handling it the right way. Mass Effect is one of those games where moral choice really like shines because everything's kind of convoluted. You can't. It's not an easy good option, bad option.
Yes.
That's why like Fallout. Fallout's another one where there's sometimes where you think you're making the good choice and then your character like totally does something opposite. You're like, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted it to do at all. I didn't want to do that, and you might cross the wrong people that you wanted to be friends with. So Mass Effect's one of those ones where it just, it really like it. And for me, it's not like I don't when I play Mass Effect and I come to a moral choice, I don't instantly go, I should go to the Bible and read and figure out what I should answer here. I just think, what would I do? And then, for me, um, when I played Mass Effect, I really wasn't. I was Christian, but I didn't really have the same relationship that I do now. I was very
Yes.
passive about it. I didn't really care about it. Um, but so that was when I did play Mass Effect, which is why I'm excited to play the Legendary Collection real soon, where I can play through it again and see like what I would make choices now. Because now when I play games, I like take all the stuff in, or I take out my choices in, and then I go read and then try to figure out like, did I make the right choices, or how would I handle that situation? Now, these are all fictional worlds. It's all like impossible scenarios, you know. In a lot of these games, God wouldn't exist because it's like if God existed, this and like like I played Doom Eternal. This is a weird world for God to exist in if there's demons and everything all around.
Yeah.
So um yeah, it's one of those things where I'm excited to play that game again just to figure out how I would make different changes now. Like, and who would I romance? That's another thing. Like, that's morally you should wait for marriage and do all that's like how the Bible says. But When I was a teenager, I didn't care. I'm getting with Tally. That was my girl, was Tally. I loved it. I was loyal too, because in Mass Effect 1 you could not romance her, and I said no, I will wait. And Mass Effect 2, because it was already out when I played it. So Mass Effect 2, they said you could romance her. I was like, I will wait for her then. I will romance her in Mass Effect 2. So um
And you know what? It kind of felt like the game was designed for that to happen with your character.
yeah.
You know, there's something very Princess Peach / Toadstool about her. If you look at it, you know, I think with I think it's Mass Effect 1. Yeah, Mass Effect 1. There is this alien who is just like out there preaching and everything, and you know he doesn't have the permit, and you get to interact with that. Because I think with when we think of religion and moral choices, in religion, you know, we're doing a good deed because we said earlier, our relationship with God, you know, trying to get to heaven is our goal. But when it comes to video games and moral choices, it's part of the narrative. And those are in a way are kind of two separate things, because you are not when you're in religion, you're not living a fictional life. This is real world stuff that's going on. When you're playing a video game, it's yes, it is a fictional world, but the narrative is what you're creating and you're drawing from. So those consequences affect that narrative. You know, even when we look, there's a game called I think it's Xenogears that was on PlayStation 1. And there is some imagery in it where these rabbits are on the crucifixion. And it's just like, when you as a Christian, you don't know that, but you love role-playing games. When you see that, you be like, this is because I think in the American version they took it out, but in Japan they still have it, because religion there is seen different, you know. And I didn't know this until I read in the EGM when they was talking about censorship in games, and that part got censored in it because, you know, it was I think it was the April edition, and it was just like, this is connection to Easter, the crucifixion. And of course, America in the 90s or even early 2000s were really kind of like, you got to be on your P's and Q's about this. We don't want kids stuff seen in everything. But now you look at it, you just be like, wow, I can't believe they did this and everything. But there is a particular game that I kind of want to ask it, because me and you, we talked about it, and that's Resistance.
Okay.
In Resistance 1, there is a part where you're fighting in a church. Remember that level? Like, what did you think about that? To be like, I can't believe they put this in a video game that I'm fighting aliens in a church.
You know, that's an interesting thing to me. It honestly didn't bother me because, for one, Call of Duty's had multiple levels inside churches as well. And then I don't know if you've seen on Vanguard, there's a big thing going on where pages of the Quran, which is the Bible for Islam. I don't know if it's the Bible, but it's their book in Islam. And there's torn pages on the battleground. And they, Call of Duty, they were saying it was for like inclusion and stuff, but there was, Islamic people who took it, poorly, like they didn't like it and stuff like that. So it doesn't bother me. I don't know if you've watched Kingsman. Have you ever watched that movie, Kingsman?
The Kingsman? I think so, yes. I think I have watched it.
The first one. Do you remember the church scene? Okay, yes. So like the Westboro Baptist like church deal where it's like, that didn't bother me necessarily because I understood why it was in the story. It made sense why it was in the story. These are church people. Put that in quotes. And these are the church people that no one wants to talk to. These are the people that are, outside of like concerts and WWE events and all that. Everyone's going to hell and all this stuff. Those are those people. They're different people than I would say me and you, Ed. So a church building to me isn't as sacred as like, because I was about to ask you the same thing. In Persona 4, there's actually a secret boss that's, if you get like the ultimate ending, it's one of the final bosses. And it doesn't say it's Jesus, but it definitely looks Jesus-like. And I really had a confliction at that point where I was like, I don't know if I can play this. Like, I don't know if I want to, like, I don't know if the story, like, when I was playing it, I was like, I don't know if this story is portraying something that I want to participate in personally. And so I ended up looking up spoilers. Like, I was trying to understand what it was. And it made more sense to me, and I did get through it, and I finished the game. It's still one of my favorite games ever that played. Of course, it's on the Vita, so it's got to be up there. But, I was going to ask you if there's any games that mess with religion or make fun of religion, or if there's that, like, or even not even games, but like movies and TV shows where you just like, that crosses a line that I'm not comfortable with.
So so speaking about the Kingsman real quick, that church scene, I didn't see it as a religious thing because it's so the way that they do the camera and the choreography of it. So when it gets the action kicks in, it takes me out of the religious nature, because now it's just like this bloody scene that's happening in this church, and it's very choreographed well. So it becomes more of an art than it is the religious aspect to it. One game is definitely Breath of Fire 3, because they're talking about this God and everything, and you kind of find out that the God in this world, this religion, is kind of this female serpent, and you are a dragon beating God, and everything. Even Final Fantasy X, the way that they are treated religion, it's just like, in JRPGs, religion, it seems that there is something great about it, but there's actually something evil behind it. Iconoclast does this too, where just all of these rules and this certain God that everybody is trying to like serve and everything. But she has these lieutenants and stuff that have supernatural powers, and their punishment to you is that you're going to die. They have every right to kill you if they want to. But it's just like, wow, how do you take a religious nature or a story behind it and put it in a video game? There's the one show that's on Netflix, and I cannot think of it, that kind of deals with religion, with the guy who killed this girl in a drunk driving situation, and then he moves to this island.
Black Mass.
Black
Mass.
Yeah, and
or Midnight Mass. Midnight
Mass. Yeah. And you start seeing the things that's happened on how this priest actually came back, and it delves into that he was messing with a certain supernatural, I should say, because I want people to go see it. And it's just
people should watch it. We won't spoil it here, but people should watch it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I could tell you this because I love Jesse Douglas. I went to go visit him, and we watched the first 2 episodes late at night, and I was like, I'm about to go. And Jesse's just like, man, you should really stay. This third one, it really gets good. I was just like, well, I do got time, so I sat back down and I got into it. I was just like, I need to see one more episode. Like,
did you watch the 4th episode too?
No, we didn't get to the 4th episode. I was just like, okay, I gotta go home, because we could have binged that whole thing. I knew I had to drive home. It was a 2-hour drive, but it was so fun watching it with them, because the thing about it, we had this religious discussion. And I think that was kind of the great thing about that show, about it. And morally watching it is kind of like when TV shows or even games have some connection to religion, is always the Catholic faith. Even with The Witch, That's a movie,
Yeah.
this family is, they're Christians, or they're religious in some form. But like later on, things starts happening. Like the devil starts playing with their mind and everything.
Yeah.
And it always feels that when religion is like the plot point, something isn't right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it, even
Does that ever annoy you at all?
actually, it doesn't annoy me. I think it's that interpretation of what they do with this kind of fake religion that sometimes they build up. They try to bring some similarities of what we know of the Bible into their world, but change it up for a few, because it's just like, how can you get offended by some religious stuff when you make moral choices, but you don't feel nothing when it's God of War? You don't feel
Right.
nothing when it's Bayonetta, or even Devil May Cry. Like, you don't feel nothing where you're playing these characters who have this mythical connection to religion. It's always the zaniness, or something that's over the top, or something that's so artistically, that you're seeing, that all gets drowned out. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Is there anything like, let's say not even like church related, but is there anything like morally that's part of a game that makes you not want to play it, or maybe not
actually
play it as much?
actually no. Back on optional opinion, and you guys should check this out because I had a good discussion about it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, when they did the airport level.
Yeah, no Russian.
No Russian. That was a big controversy, and me and my good friend Kyle Deuce, we literally talked about that level. I titled it iconic level because it was something that it was a terrorist attack that was happening in this airport, and you really don't have to shoot anybody, but it's very optional. And then it became a big news story, and I kind of looked at it and I was just like, well, I understand what they're trying to go for. I understand people are getting offended and stuff, but I'm just like, this is a fictional thing. I'm going to get through this level and probably forget it by the time I get to the end of the game. Like,
Yeah.
I need something that, if it's going to feel like it's very offensive, it's got to do enough. Because the thing about it is, if I was going to be offended or anything, I wouldn't play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Right.
With
Right.
a black cat.
Well, and that's kind of the crazy thing to me, is that I have this weird connection where in games like Grand Theft Auto, for example. Now, I know you don't like Grand Theft Auto. I'm also not a fan of Grand Theft Auto. But when I play the story and I'm a different character, I actually, like, the stuff that I'm doing doesn't really bother me because I know it's not me. It's
Right.
like a character who's going through this story, and maybe I make some moral choices for him, but ultimately they're in this situation, and how would I best handle this situation? With Modern Warfare 2, it's like, this guy is in war, he's undercover. If he's in so deep and he's so committed to the mission that this is part of it. And unfortunately, the game gives you kind of a choice whether you want to shoot him or not. But if that happened in real life, like if you're undercover, like if you didn't shoot, someone's gonna notice. You would think, like, hey, you didn't shoot your gun. Are you with us or not? Kind of a thing. So that's how I got with the Modern Warfare 2. However, on going back to Grand Theft Auto, when I do like the online stuff, I can't get into it because it's me. Like, the character is your character, and I'm like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. I don't want to go like murder prostitutes or like drive over. Like, I don't enjoy the game at all online. And honestly, anytime I play online, it's like I'll play like racing and stuff. And it's not like I won't do it because of moral reasons, but I just don't enjoy it. Like, I can't get into it because it's my character. It's not something that I would want myself to do.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Whereas like Fallout, depending on how you play, I make it my own character. So I try to base my choices on how I would want to treat people. For like Fallout 4, for example, there's the Railroad who treat the synths like normal people, almost to a fault. They almost do it to a fault. But honestly, that's how I saw the Synths as like real people almost. Like I had connections with like Nick Valentine and all that stuff. So it like made sense for me to go that way instead of like kill all the Synths. I'm like, I don't really want to kill them. Like I don't really, I don't hate them. Like, the Brotherhood of Steel and all that stuff. So
Right.
I was wondering if there's any games that like
So
that it kind of take you in and out of it.
So the thing about it is kind of Mafia 3 is a really good example because of course it's taking place in the 60s and 70s. You get betrayed by this white man. You playing as this black character and you go out on this revenge. Now, I think when the gameplay comes into the fact and stuff is feeling monotone, I kind of don't care about the narrative. I'm just like, okay, you got to change something up and make me really feel something. Because other than that, it's just that it becomes more paint by the numbers. You're just doing stuff to push this along, but it's just like this doesn't do anything for me.
Can I ask if you finished that game?
Yeah, I did finish Mafia 3.
You did finish it?
Yes.
Okay. I actually didn't finish it just because it was for that same reason where I was like, all right, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm kind of over it. And like, even though I was kind of interested in the story, there was so much extra stuff, which we'll talk about in another episode that we're going to do of too much extra stuff being put into games where I don't care about it anymore. I've lost the point of the story.
Yeah, I think one of them is definitely, I think what grabbed my attention, and this is not with connection to Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a whole different story. When you finally got when I finally got a chance to be like, oh, there's a game that deals with the clan and I could kill them. That becomes more of a marketing thing to me, but it's kind of exciting because it's just like you finally, as a black character, get to feel like you're having justice because you're killing these kind of fictional people in this game. I'm not saying this real life thing, but it's just like I get to take down some racist people, and I think when it comes to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, it's just like you kind of think about it, just like a bunch of white people or I won't say minorities, a bunch of Caucasians, in my opinion, designed this game. Even they knew what learning the gang culture, writing the N word, and saying all of this stuff, and then you see Mafia 3. And it's kind of like the head director, he was black, and they explained to like, and we all came together from different backgrounds to make this story. And we're kind of, I'm like, even though it's fictional, it's something kind of relatable of things that was going during that time. And I feel like for me, morally, that has more of a good connection than San Andreas does, in a sense, because it's just like San Andreas is full of tropes because they're looking at movies and trying to do it. Where I feel like Mafia 3, it presents something more. It just presents something more connective, something feel like based in real life, and it provides more sympathy. It's not nothing just to sell anything. There's something about it that just speaks more than San Andreas does. Now, you could love both games, you could hate both games, you could go by the numbers all you want to, but I'm like, that's kind of what religion in a sense does. It's just like you sometimes want things as a gamer to kind of like where you can put your religious beliefs somewhat in play, and hopefully there's something to reward. Or you could be like, okay, even though I have this religious belief, this video game actually lets me play the other side. I want to go in and be evil because I feel like it's not going to do anything for me, in my relationship.
Right.
It's going to be like, what do I get out of this if I'm evil? If I go to the other side, I get to view how, I have this one side, but I get to view this other side and everything.
Yeah, it is still fun to kind of like play the bad guy. I mean, I definitely have done a Paragon run on Mass Effect as well. Like I
Hmm.
definitely wanted to do um Infamous, of course. I did the evil version of Infamous because A, I wanted the trophies, but B, I wanted to see like, how it changes things. And um it's like an Infamous Second Son. There's like these protesters who are protesting you, and it's kind of weird because even though they're against you, you're only a bad guy if you react to them. But
Yes.
if you forgive them and let him go, you're the good guy. And like that to me was like, that was like part of me that like spoke to my beliefs is forgiveness is the better way. Like forgiveness is like, those people are going to hate you. And if they could do something to you, they probably would kill you. They want you dead. They don't want you around. But it's better to show kindness than to react and destroy them, and stuff like that.
But then if you play something like Hitman 3, all of that is in the garbage can because
Oh yeah.
you're an assassin who's designed to kill. And
Yes.
of course you're not going to be like, oh, I need to play Bible Adventures. No one is going to be playing Bible Adventures. The way that go and listen to a podcast on the way that Bible Adventures happened, and it's the most ironic and funniest thing that happened for a Christian group to get this game done. They had to actually do something sinful to get it made.
Yeah.
And that
And that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. I really wish that if Boss Rush ever explodes and we're all billionaires, I would love to make a biblically accurate game, or close to biblically accurate game.
Mm-hmm.
I think for example, I think an awesome game would be Samson. I mean, he literally takes the jawbone of an ass and just kills people. Just like that sounds like some God of War Kratos stuff where he
Right.
just rips the donkey's jaw off and just beats a bunch of people. And like all those judges stories. There's so many like crazy video game like stuff in those stories that could be done, but it won't sell.
I can actually tell you if they did a walking simulator of Job.
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
You already know
losing,
that
losing your. Oh, we would be doing this day one, and this is another good game idea because losing your family and then getting diseases, all your houses burned down, all your crop, everything burns down. Everyone tells you to hate God, and yet you still just keep on walking. You still just keep on walking, and your wife turns against you. Everyone turns against you. It's crazy. It would be a great walking simulator. Like, we need to make this, Ed.
I will probably have to get the whole, or I'll have to do like almost a 5-part talk the walk. Because I would just be like, everybody on Boss Rush, we need to play this game and we need to have multiple discussions. Yeah. Because the thing, I'm like, I don't care what your background is. I am interested to see someone take Job, make that a walking simulator, and we just have a hour, 2 hour, hour and a half. Everybody got their snacks and drink, and just speaking about from a religious perspective and a non-religious perspective on what you think about this journey. Whether you read it in the Bible or you haven't read it in the Bible. I think Job will probably be like, I would spend $15 to $20 just to see that.
Yeah, I would. What do you call it? Kickstarted. I would totally be down. Give me the collector's edition. Make that soundtrack. Yeah. Make that soundtrack amazing. I mean, okay. I would be all for it. For it.
Who does the soundtrack? Do we go like Israel? Like, do we go like a Christian group, or do we just be like? Because man, now thinking about it, see, everybody, I'm gonna tell you about Expression Pass. Actually, me and Corey had talked about taking Metroid and turning it. There's a game called Hell Divers, and what if
Hell Divers is awesome.
We spent 2 hours. We did a 2-part discussion of turning Metroid into almost a similar Hell Divers. We didn't mean to. We literally talked about it, and when we got done, we were just like, we have a episode. Like, it's a really good. I had to find it in the post that one too. It was a really good episode. So to see Joe get to, not, I used to call it job, but they didn't teach us in Sunday school what the name was. So, but to see literally Joe be turned into a walking simulator, I think the information is there, and you don't even have to do the talking King James. You could just do it in standard talking everything, and it would, like, graphically or not graphically, whatever you wanted it to be. I could just see that game happening, and we at Boss Rush or any podcast, I think whether it's good or not, I'd be like, this is something that we all could talk about.
And I would even say this: it doesn't even have to be biblical times. You could take that story and make it into a modern time story. But me personally, I would like to see it, but still have that message of he never lost his faith, because I think that's the most important part of Job, is just all that stuff he went through. He never turned. He almost broke. He wanted to, but he's like, I know you have to be doing something. You have to be doing something. And he was rewarded. He was well rewarded for it. So, and it cost him everything, Right. And I think that makes a beautiful story.
And I think that's why when there is games that do that they never give up, and at the end, even if they make the sacrificing themselves to make the world better or something like that, they will do. I mean, that is just a good thing, a good example of faith. I'm so glad that you said that, man. This is a good discussion, and I know that we have to continue on, but we got to bring this one to a close. I think we're gonna have to come revisit this one. I think it's a good one we're gonna revisit, because now having a discussion about faith, that would be a good expression pass later on in the future. I'm excited. We got to talk about this Joe game. I'm excited. I'm literally excited. But everybody, that has been expression pass. Austin, where can we find you at?
You can find me at PlayStAustin on Twitter and Instagram. You can catch me on Crossroads, a PlayStation podcast, Tuesday nights, twitch.tv/Exodus803 at 8/7 Central. Sometimes we start at 7:30 though. Sometimes. Just depends.
Yes. You guys can find me on Twitter at that retro code. You can check out Nintendo Power Block on Mondays live on Twitch, and you can also check us out on Wednesdays on YouTube and on Anchor FM. And everybody, if you don't know that we do have, go ahead.
When does this episode come out? When is this episode?
It's going to be in the future.
Yes. Well, I'll just say that we might have more of these discussions on my show. If you don't mind me plugging it in real quick.
Yes, go ahead and plug.
If you listen to this episode and you like this discussion, me and Ed have already been talking about this. We're going to have more of these kind of talks on my show. Scrambled Rambles on Spotify. Scrambled Rambles. So please check that out. Hopefully by the time this episode's out, you'll probably have an episode with Ed on there too. So we'll have to do this. And that one might go for 2 hours. Who knows? We might go forever on that one.
Yes. But also, everybody, check us out on bossrush.net, where you can also join our Patreon to support us. You'll get bonus content early in events, and there's other extra things that you can find. So you can select which tier that you want to support us with, and we'll be talking more about that later, because there's gonna probably be more stuff added on to it. But by the time you guys watch this, hopefully you do enjoy it. Hopefully you checked out our past expression passes and all our other podcasts like Arsenal X, like I said, Talk the Walk, and more that we have on there, our 1v1 and everything. With that, everybody, we will see you next time on Expression Pass. Bye, everybody.
Hey, everyone.